Hi, it's Nick on the 19th of September with the second episode of this week's theme of the power of inspired branding. I really went through a journey around this myself over the last, 8 years or so, probably 10 years actually. A kind of reinvention or an evolution of my work and how I wanted to show up in the world. And I think part of what drove me to start with, and I think it drives so many people, we're kind of asking the question. We may not be conscious that we're asking it, but I think what we're saying to ourselves, how can we get everybody to like us? How can we be for everybody? How can we be attractive to the most number of people? And my experience, both personally and professionally, having looked at this for myself and for other people, is like that's actually not a helpful question. Because the reality is that us as a brand, if that's how we want to look at ourselves, we're not for everybody. So what happens when we try to be popular, we try to be for as many people as possible, is we end up kind of dumbing ourselves down. Because we might have a bit of inspired clarity and go, oh yeah, but most people wouldn't like that, or that might switch some people off. So we kind of dumb it down or edit it, and then we come up with another bit of clarity and go, oh, that's what really matters to me, that's what I'd like to stand for. And then we go, oh no, people might not like that, we might switch them off. So I went through that process myself over and over again before I realized I had this kind of blinding flash of clarity that we're not supposed to be for everybody. We're only supposed to be the answer to some people's prayers, and sometimes that might only be a few dozen or a few hundred people's prayers. We could create a successful business, potentially, depending on what we're doing, out of a couple of dozen or a couple of hundred clients. Our job isn't to be for everybody. And I think that's the stumbling block for many people, is they end up with a very, what I would call vanilla brand, not that vanilla's bad. I quite like vanilla as a flavour, but it's that metaphor of trying to blend in, trying not to be, stand out too much, and not switch people off, or stimulate people's kind of resistance or their challenge to you. Now, I'm not suggesting you set out to be controversial, but as soon as you become kind of clear and powerful, you will realize, and other people will realize, you're not for them. And I think what often happens then is we have to kind of cross a bit of a threshold, which is, well, if I'm not for everybody, dare I risk that if I'm really clear about myself and what I stand for, that there are going to be enough people that are going to want to work with me. And I think that's where a lot of us stumble. It's certainly where I stumbled for a long time. It's like, but if I'm really me, am I just going to switch everybody off? If I'm really me, is everybody going to kind of head for the hills and unsubscribe from my list and switch off my channel or whatever? We've all got our own fears. And I think the paradoxically, and this is the bit to really get, is actually the more clear we are, the more powerful we become, and the more attractive we become to our true clients, if you like, whatever that means, the people that we are destined to meet and work with, if you like. Oh, I can see Sean is joining us live. Reminds me of that quote, to avoid criticism, do nothing, say nothing, and be nothing. Yeah, Sean, and to that I would add, don't even get out of bed in the morning so you don't upset anybody. And I've certainly had times of feeling like, well, that's how I've got to be. It's like, just, don't stir anything up. And I don't, and I presume most of you watching this don't set out to stir things up, but we do want to be clear, we do want to be powerful, we do want to create a resonance with people, and sometimes that may cause them to feel uncomfortable. But our job may be initially to cause a little bit of discomfort so that people kind of go, oh, yeah, I really need to think about this, or, this is scary but exciting and inspiring. So, I'm going to carry on this theme this week, so I'm going to wrap up now, but I do love this idea of having the courage and the faith to believe that actually you are only ever for a relatively small group of people. Now, I don't know how many that might be, but today, even if you were for 1 million people, that's still, a relatively small number of people on the planet, and most of us are not going to have businesses that reach 1 million people. It's that idea of maybe if you get 1,000 people that are interested in your work, that you get a few hundred that really love your work, and you get a few dozen that really engage and pay you for what you do. So it's having that courage to believe that the more powerful you are, the clearer you are, the more likely actually you are to create a successful business. So So there you go. That's today's thought on powerful branding, and I'll be back tomorrow with another thought. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.